Hey folks, welcome back. It's been a little while. I had a little test stream a little while ago, but good to be back together. This is Josh Justice, aka Coding It Wrong, and as I always say, you'll have to watch for a bit and you can decide for yourself whether you agree that I'm coding it wrong. It's a Friday afternoon as I'm recording this, kind of nice relaxed time of the week. Excited for everybody that joins in the stream or if you're catching this on the video later. So I want to talk about what we're doing today for building for mobile and web with Expo. And this is probably going to be the start of a series, a number of weeks together. So let's get the screen up here. So a while back, I wrote an app named Shirley. It's a to-do app. It's actually available for free. You can go to shirleytodoo.com to check it out, to sign up for a free account if you like. Pretty simple, straightforward to-do app. And it's also available on the App Store for iOS, for iPad as well. So I made this app. So first of all, the question is, I made it for myself. I'm the user of it. And so why did I build it for two different platforms? Why bother with that? Well, I need it on the web because I live out of my to-do list app. It's my most important thing. I use it so much. And the other third-party apps I was using didn't meet my needs. They weren't doing what I needed, and I wanted to build something, and this was exciting to do. And of course, a to-do app is the stereotypical app to create as a tutorial, so I did it for real. I needed it on the web because I need to use it on the computer. I work as a software developer. I'm on the computer a good amount of time. And so I wanted to put it on here. But I also, and so I was using it on the web on my phone for a while, but then I realized, I use it so much that some of the niceties of a mobile app, home screen, higher performance, full screen experience, some of the interactivity would be nicer to have it in a mobile app form. Now, even though I'm really excited about development and do a lot of it, I just had discovered in the past that I just don't have the motivation to build a client on the web and on mobile and keep them both up to speed with all the latest features. It's just not motivating. But, so how did I pull this off? Well, as I was looking into it, I looked into Expo, which if you're a React Native developer, you may be familiar with Expo. It's kind of like a higher level abstraction that lives on top of React Native so that you don't have to get down into the native level. One of the other nice things it has is support for developing for the web. So it uses this React Native for web technology under the hood, but really what it means, and you may have noticed this if you have an Expo app, is that when you pull it up, you can run on iOS, Android, or web. So I decided to take my app, which had a front end and another technology. I decided to try porting it over to Expo for web, and it worked really great. I had a great experience with some of the popular React Native libraries that have web support as well. And it's awesome. And we're at the point where Shirley is feature complete. It has everything that I need, and I'm using it every day and absolutely loving it. So why is this exciting? Why is this multi-platform ability exciting? I think it's exciting because it enables hobbyists, solo developers, and small teams to have the option to build apps for multi-platform. There's trade-offs, of course. There's upsides to building React Native for the web, React for the web, and React Native or native iOS, native Android separately. There's benefits to those, but there's benefits to having an option so that I, as a I'm a professional developer, but as a hobby can build this app. And I can do it quickly enough that I don't need to charge money for it. I don't need to make a business out of it. I can build software that meets my needs and offer it to y'all for free if you want to take advantage of it. I can also offer this content for free. So that's what gets me excited about Expo for web. And what we're going to be doing on this stream is converting another app over to use Expo for web, to deploy on iOS, probably Android as well, and on the web. So Firehose is the name of another hobby app of mine. This app is a link tracking application. So I read a lot. I like to keep the reference. I think that's a very important part of learning as a developer, is being able to get back to articles and personal stuff, hobby stuff as well. I keep track of links. So I wanted a link tracking app, and I wanted to own the data. I wanted to have it on my own servers or services to have full access to it, and also it was something fun to build. So it has a web interface, but I'm feeling those same pains. I would really like a native Firehose app to be able to have just that better user experience. And so I'd like to build it with Expo for web. And so what we're going to get to do is to walk through the steps that I went through before and actually kind of cheat and kind of go fast forward. Oh, I see my little stream windows in the way. Let me get that out of the way. To be able to fast forward to look at the code for the end result of Shirley and use that to set up our Expo app here to quickly get to the point where we've got a running iOS and Android and web app and build from there. And we may do the whole porting over of the app on the stream. It's not huge. It's maybe a little bit bigger than Shirley. Or we may stop once it gets repetitive. We'll see. But either way, I think the benefit you'll get is walking through this will help you to evaluate if Expo for Web is the right fit for your project. You'll get to see some of the limitations and pros and cons. Also, it'll get you the steps you need to build your own app for web and mobile. Another option is Shirley is open source. And so if you want to fork it and just delete out all of my stuff and fill in all your stuff, please feel free. That's, we're going to be kind of building it up from scratch here instead of doing that. So you can see the steps and see it and maybe see what things I stumble across. But I think we'll be in good shape. So if you're here live, please participate in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this recording later, please jump into the comments with any thoughts or questions you have. We'd love to engage with you in that way. Where is it? Over there, right there is the link that you can get to if you're joining in on this with more information about the stream and what we're working on. Let me just show you Firehose a little bit before we jump in, and we're going to be starting from scratch with a brand new code base. You see, I've removed the folder, and we're going to go from there. So let me get rid of this background color a little bit. So in Firehose, you're on an unread links page, and you can type in a page, native.dev, I think might be the name of it. If you type in a URL and click add, and it's going to add it. It's going to look up the title of the website that's actually handled in the back end, and save the link here. You can edit that bookmark by going in. You can change the title. You can add tags to categorize it, separate with a space. You can get the source. I think Chris Aquino is the person who told me about React Native, so props to Chris Aquino. You can share it publicly, which is a feature I haven't ended up using a whole lot, so we'll have to see. Maybe I take that out at this point. And you can use a comment field, or you can type into here, like, so good, whatever. You can say whatever you want. So you save that info, shows up here. Tags are clickable, so you can click on React Native. You can browse all of the links you have with that tag. So here's a bunch of stuff. React Native is the future of mobile at Shopify. I don't know if you knew that. It's good stuff. So browsing by tag is very helpful. You can come back, you can mark as read. You can delete, that's very important if you decide you don't want to read it, but I tend to try to keep my links. You can mark as read. I won't pull up the read tab there just because I've got some personal stuff on there that I don't necessarily want to broadcast to the world. You can look at the full list of tags over here as well. Also maybe some personal stuff in there. We'll see. So yeah, there's not much more than that to Firehose, and yet super helpful for me. Okay, so let's get started. The other thing we're going to use to start off the project, and I don't always do that, but I've written some setup scripts for a lot of the languages that I use. If you do a lot of work on small projects or consulting, or you just like to experiment by creating projects, you may want to create a simple script to set up a project with the things you like. So this is a script that I created. I'll post the link in the chat in case anybody wants it. It'll be in the show notes as well. Maybe make a note to myself to put that in the show notes. It's a script to set up a new React Native CLI or Expo project with some basic libraries. I've gone back and forth about how much I include over time, but right now what it includes is to make sure the Jest is set up, React Native testing library for component tests with Jest native as well for some nice matchers, and the most important thing, ESLint and Prettier setup with the React Native community standards included. Some of these, between React Native CLI and Expo, some include some of these and some include the other. And so by having this script, whichever one I'm using, I can set them up in a standard way. And so there's little instructions in here. So, you don't need to use it, but if it's helpful, do it, or create your own, or fork your own and do it. But I'm going to do that here just to get some quick initial setup. So I have native up installed locally, and so I can just do native up Expo. I specify that I want an Expo app, not a React Native CLI app. And we're going to call it Firehose. While this is running, I'll say the Firehose backend is a JSON REST-based API, and so the details of that don't matter. In an Expo app, Expo for web app, you could use any backend you like, any one you're used to using on the web or on mobile. Mine happens to use a technology called JSON API that's great for convention-based, especially CRUD-based apps. A lot of value there, and you'll get to see that as we go. But whatever backend technology and communication technology you're using, there's not a whole lot of limitations on Expo for web for that. So you can see the project is getting set up. We've got the initial Expo setup is done, and it's going through some other installing of the other packages. Looks like maybe a new viewer joined, so thanks so much for joining in. We are just getting started installing our app here. I should say creating a new Expo app to port this Firehose link saving application over to web and mobile. So that'll be fun as we go through, and a link down in the footer to find out more details. Okay, it says your app is almost ready. To finish setup, add the following to package.json. I added in this message. Maybe there's a way to automate this, but you do what is helpful. Also, every time I do a stream, I'm using a different editor because I'm indecisive. Now, lately, I'm on Sublime because I love not supporting large tech companies, and so not being on a Microsoft editor is great. And I don't love IDEs, and so I love, smaller, more straightforward text editors. I forgot. I want to. So let me say here. So I've got an API, the older Ember.js version of the front end here, and I've got I called the project Firehose, but I'm going to move that now. Firehose to Expo. So the folder name is this is the Expo app for Firehose, but within Expo itself, the app thinks its name is Firehose, which is correct. And that folder structure is the case for all my projects because I always have a decoupled front end and back end. One of the nice things about it is you can change your front end and port it to different frameworks while keeping the same back end, or vice versa. So here's our nice clean Expo project with nothing in there except what my project has initialized. Well, no, I got to follow this step. Got to put in this jest preset, and let's just see what we get out of the box. So put that in, have it in. Our Git history is already set up in here, but I'm going to add this in. Set up jest Expo preset. And now let's give things a try. Let's do yarn start to start up Expo. I'm sure in the future I'll use my little shortcuts in the command line, but yarn start will do it. It'll open it up. You drag that over here. Incidentally, if you're curious, I'm using Safari these days a lot because I have some wrist pain, and Safari has great voice control support to use your voice. I'm feeling not too bad lately, but it's a great way to be able to save on wrist strain. All right, so Expo is starting up. I will say I tested on the stream. My computer should be able to handle running on iOS and Android and should not slow down too much. But we'll see. If the stream dips, I apologize, and we'll try to fix that up later. So Expo is up on here, and from here we can run on Android, iOS, and web. So let's do iOS first, as a lot of people do. Sorry, Android folks. Oh, and you can see here that it's installing. So I have a bare iOS simulator and a bare Android emulator that are installing Expo for the first time. So you'll see what that experience is like. I haven't gone through the setup steps of like getting those installed locally. The Expo docs are great. The React Native docs are great. So feel free to check those out. But so now iOS is prompting me, do you want to open this in Expo Go? And I say yes. It opens up. Takes a little while. Yeah, okay, we're close. Once the app is starting up, you get live refreshing, which is very nice because you can make changes and the app will reload on all of your devices, which is very cool. A little slow the first time though. So close. Stay on target. There it goes. So we get the Expo UI prompting up about your app, which don't need too much right now. And it just says, hello, React Native. My native up script just kind of clears out the boilerplate stuff and just enough, it's got the little safe area there so you're not in the header, but just enough to start filling stuff in. So now let's go ahead and pull it up on Android. I already had my Android emulator started up, but if you've got one created, Expo should be able to launch it just fine for you. It's installing Expo Go. I'm running on fairly recent hardware versions, but not the most recent on Android, just to kind of make sure that it still works the back a little ways. As a note, on Shirley, it's very close to working on Android, but one library that I use for date picking was not supported on Android. And so because I don't actively use it, I decided not to publish it because I'd have trouble supporting it and maybe not necessarily do the best. All right, so Expo is pulling up. you'll notice if you've used React Native CLI, you'll notice here in Expo that despite a little bit of JavaScript build time, this is a lot faster. So instead of the native build of the iOS app or the Android app, Expo has a pre-built binary that it pulls down, and it's really just your JavaScript code that's changing things. That's nice for efficiency. It's nice for not having to work in the native tooling so much. And I've done iOS development a little bit on the side, but for a side project, I love not having to risk that kind of build stuff breaking because I'm not in there every day. And it's more challenging to get up to speed of figuring out some new thing with some new Xcode. So having Expo handle that for me is very nice for a side project, or for a project where maybe this is not your only responsibility. Okay, it's very close. Android is booting up. And a reason to keep Android, iOS, and web all running as you go is just to catch bugs early. It gives you a quick feedback loop so that if something doesn't display right on one of the platforms, you'll know and you won't find it a lot later. Oh, okay, so we see in here on Android that the same Expo tooling popped up, and we can close it down. And now finally, let's open in web. Notice run in web browsers, just another option listed here. And I didn't specify any special flags for Expo. That is just there for default, by default, anytime you create an Expo project. While this is starting, let me comment on the fact that I chose a JavaScript template for Expo, which I would argue is the default, rather than a TypeScript template. And the reason why is I prefer dynamic languages, and I prefer JavaScript. I have a blog post about why that I can post in the show notes later. I don't prefer it for all cases. Client project I'm on, we're moving towards static typing, and I agree for a large organization like that, it's a good fit. For a project where I'm the only developer and I have a thorough knowledge of the code, I find dynamically typed language is much more productive. So we can see our Hello React Native app has come up on here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the browser tooling so we have it. I think that might be helpful. Later. Of course, this is not very impressive so far right now. It's some text, but you'll see cool stuff coming together as we go along. So check it out. We've got iOS, we've got Android, and we've got web on the same code base. Mission accomplished. Now, what remains is to have something rather than nothing existing in the app. So the other thing that the Native App set up for us is testing. And so let's run the test to make sure they work. I'm going to run yarn test. I'm probably going to put this in separate tabs in the command line instead of separate panes. We got an app spec, the test that we render a hello message, and that succeeds. So that's great. So that is working. So our app is there. Let's now dig into the code and see what's there. So we have app.js is our main first app. This is all the stuff that I've cleared out. So I really just have a React Native status bar, a React Native safe area view, which once we follow my Shirley examples, I think we need to use that other library's version of that. And we have some text that's displaying. So if you haven't run across React Native for web before, check this out. We don't have any HTML-based DOM elements in our JSX here. We're not saying div or p, we're saying text. But as an abstraction, our React Native for web is rendering that out onto the web. It's translating the higher level abstraction of React Native into the lower level implementation of HTML DOM elements. Just like text and status bar and safe area view get translated into iOS and Android specific things, they get translated into web specific things as well. So that works out well. I think I am going to check, because I didn't keep the notes elsewhere. Oh, no, not that. I wanted to check the stream notes. Where is my Safari? Because I want to see what I was supposed to be working on. Expo mobile web. And the order I suggested. Okay, we've got linting and auto formatting. Linting is already set up, so that's nice. If you get your indentation wrong, yes, Sublime Text handles that as well. It tells you what's wrong. If you save, it auto formats it, and so a little bit of a delay, but that's gonna fix that for you. So all of our linting is working fine, and that's set up in a normal way. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, as you probably are, you do that just the same in this code base as anything else. So next, React Navigation. It's the most popular, I think, as far as I can tell, navigation library for React Native, and it works great on the web as well. It actually has great support for links to browse around, to navigate, and we'll see that as we go. So I'm going to, full disclosure, I'm not coming up with these things off the top of my head. I do have my Shirley code base up on my cheater monitor over here, that I'm not coming up with these things off of my head. I'm looking at the code for what I implemented there to do it over there, over here in this new Firehose app. Now, the docs for these tools are all really great, and so you'll do well to work on the React navigation docs and the other libraries we're going to be looking at. But it's nice to have an example app to kind of follow along with. So let me see what I have over here in Shirley. The status bar. That is okay. So that's changing with a different. Interesting. One thing I'm seeing over here is using an Expo status bar. Let's maybe come back to that because I want to stay on the main things here. Navigation. Okay, so in that case, I put navigation into its own component, and that is helpful just because there's so much going on in the navigation of an app. Okay, those other things are from something else. React Native Safe Area context. Do I go ahead and do that? I think sorry, I'm stumbling here. It's going to happen sometimes. Let's do the navigation. Let's really stick with the main thing. So we're going to create a navigation component here. And I do like to group my stuff in a source folder. Source, navigation. Let's create a navigation component there. I'm sure that doesn't exist, so I'm sure it's going to cause all my apps to break. But let's create a new file. Oh, okay, so those imports are no longer needed. Thank you, ESLint. But let's create the new file. We'll just save it. Create a new folder. Navigation.js. All right, so let's take a look and see what I ended up with. And when I was building this app out from scratch, there was a lot of change as I went, as I reorganized things. This was likely to be a lot less change because I'm following an established pattern from another app. Okay, we are going to need to install React Navigation, so I guess I should look into that. I remember there's just like a list of tools. Sorry, this font size is not good. I really need to set that default. Yeah. Let's go ahead and shut down Expo because we are going to be adding a significant number of libraries here. I forget if Expo can automatically reload when you add new NPM packages. So, not sure. Okay, so we have yarn add. Let me just copy these over. If you check the React Navigation docs, it'll give you instructions on these, but there's so much in React Navigation that it can be hard to get straight to exactly what you want. And you should take some time to learn it because it's a complicated thing. But I'm going to skip past that learning here. Add these specific libraries. So I need the drawer navigator to have the drawer that slides up from the side or is persistent on the web on wider screens. And I need the stack navigator for kind of pushing screens on top of one another and being able to go back. So React Navigation is added. I think there are some other libraries as well, so we really should look up the React Navigation docs. Very useful, very helpful, very great library. I'm very appreciative to the folks that invest time in this. Okay, let's add React Navigation native. Yep, that was included. Installing dependencies into an Expo managed project. So you have to use this Expo install command here specific for Expo. So we'll run that. There's that React Native Safe Area context. Hello React Navigation. This is probably getting more into native stack. We've got that. Yeah. Okay. So this is now that we've got those dependencies installed, we're probably at the point where we can just copy over the code. And again, we're going to look at it, copy over one bit at a time, and think about it as we go. But let's see here. So linking, we're going to come back to. That's a bunch of different navigators. Okay, that's customization. Yeah, so this is right. So our navigation component, which is the default export, this is a comment that I have from the other project that gets around a bug, a problem that I was running across. So I'm going to keep that in there for reminding me. Make sure that navigation container doesn't re-render too often. So that's good. Let's take out linking for now. We'll come back to that in a little bit. And then I just pulled out navigation contents because actually this is exactly related to this. I had some things I needed to re-render a lot, but navigation container I needed to not re-render a lot. So I split up the components that way to handle that. And navigation container, I think, is an import, so let me go ahead and pull that in. I'm going to build this up one piece at a time. So navigation container comes from React Navigation Native. Now let's do navigation contents. Oops. There's a lot to this function, so I'm going to copy over a little bit at a time, thinking about it. Let me save now and see if some of these ESLint things are resolved. So navigation contents, we do want something rather than nothing. So let me get down to the core. Core is we want a drawer navigator, because at the root of our app is the fact that there's a drawer on one side and the rest of the app on the other side. Sorry, the light's in my face. That's just a artifact of where I am. Here, maybe I'll sit right here. That could make it a little less distracting. All right, drawer navigator. Screen options, we'll come back to that. Drawer content, we'll come back to that. So let's get the key contents in here. Is different screens. Drawer.screen. And let's just call, instead of thinking about what our specific screens are, because for today I'm really trying to get these core libraries in, even before we build any features, because I already know these are the libraries we're going to use, this we're going to use for the interaction. I know we want a sidebar, because that's just the default that I go with for navigating around the app, and there are several screens in Firehose. So let's just create a hello screen, a hello component. So what, I mean, I guess that could really just be, so we're going to need a text, hello navigation, oh, and then we got a parentheses here. So this is the very basics to get a drawer navigator with a screen in it. Oh, what is ESLint saying to me? React must be in scope when using JSX. Did I gotta see if in Expo if I was experiencing that. It looks like I was not. So yeah, let me, I like the whole not having to import React. I'd rather import nothing if I could. I'm a Rubyist. So let me see if I configured that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So this should really go in the template. I'm going to make a note about that. Add no JSX React to native up. I'm going to add that into native up. So this is the rules as of more modern React and React Native environments where you don't need that explicit React import. I might need to reload. Let me at least reopen the window. I might need to reopen. Oh, it looks like that's fine. Oh, no, it's drawer. Oh yeah, I need to be importing drawer, of course. So let's see where I got that from. Oh, I actually create that. So there is a create drawer navigator. Let's see what I do with that. Oh, and it's just that. Okay, that gets us a drawer. And I think we're good to go. So let's start. And I'm going to use my YS personal shortcut for yarn start, because I do it all the time. Again, if you've just joined in the last little bit, thank you for joining. We are building an app for mobile and web with Expo, and right now we're adding in the React navigation to it, and we're just running it. We'll see what mistakes I make as I'm getting the navigation working. So is that the, I forget if that was the, sometimes making sure I get a nice new clean, what do you call it? React Expo console is important. So we'll get that there. Let's run on iOS. As you're changing things, especially adding dependencies or maybe some broken links, you can get errors inside React Native as things are missing. It is not there, but you may be, when you're making smaller tweaks to files, you don't get this so often. I'm not sure if this is trying to load, but I can reload it myself in here. Able to resolve module source navigation. Oh, I see, dot source. That's not right. It's dot/source. The things you don't notice when you're live is what I say. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm sure I make mistakes and don't think about it. I make lots of mistakes that I think about as well. I get to put them on display, but that's okay. Unable to resolve module React Native reanimated. That makes sense. That's a dependency of React navigation, and I probably miss a step in setup here. I could definitely add it. And let's see if it's in the dependencies. It's not explicitly in there, and is it in Surely? It is. So that's interesting that it doesn't mention it. But let's check the Expo docs, because I know we can add it in. Expo install React Native reanimated. You know, a lot of your basic JS libraries, you don't need to run Expo install. In Expo, you can just run yarn install for things that are JavaScript only. But for things that do have native components, Expo install is needed so that it can hook into the Expo native functionality that's provided. I know Expo in the last several years has been working on more and more options to break down the barrier between Expo you can only work with JavaScript and React Native CLI app. That's when you have the native options. So I haven't looked into it too much, so check out Expo for what the options are. If you feel too restricted by what Expo has by default, look into what options there are to maybe break out of that. And you can still get access to a lot of other things. React Native gesture handler. This is something that I thought would have been installed. I don't remember having to do this manually, but it was a long time ago, right? So was that not something that we... Interesting. Well, let's just ask Expo about that one too. The things that might throw you off if you were not used to this, and I work in React Native off and on, but maybe watching this on a video gives a little confidence of like, oh cool, a very quick way to get past that error. Plus, if I ever write up these instructions or something, I can refer back to this and find out what things are needed as of today. One more time. This is why the setup stuff will be a whole episode. We might go 2 hours total. I have the time available. We'll see. If we get to a good stopping point before that, we might stop and head out to family stuff after that. I got 3 young kids, great wife, really like my family, really like spending time with them. I like programming too. They're very supportive. Maybe they'll say hi on the stream someday. Reanimated 2 failed to create a worklet. Maybe you forgot to add Reanimated's Babel plugin. It's interesting. I wonder if I glossed over all of this setup when I did it, or if maybe this is different, or maybe I'm just looking too fast. Oh yeah, after the installation completed, add the Babel plugin to babel.config.js. So in Expo, this is what we need to do. Do I have a Babel config.js? I do. And now I'm going to check my Babel. Well, I could find out, I guess. Checking the other project to see. Preset Expo. Ooh, that JSX runtime thing I might need to tweak as well, but we'll see. Maybe that's not needed anymore. Okay, Babel config done. Might not need to restart. So there's no reason to, it looks like I might need to restart. No reason to pull it up in all the other apps. Yeah, that looks like that needs a restart. That's nice. It looks like it's reusing that tab, which is convenient, so I don't have to keep closing and reopening it. Stay on target. Nope. We might just be stuck here in build purgatory the whole time. That could be interesting. I don't mind. I don't feel bad. Y'all can fast forward maybe if you need to. For the app registry register component wasn't called. React Native reanimated plugin. Let's just compare. It's the same version of reanimated. Version of Babel config. Let's Google this. Expo reanimated 2 failed to create a worklet. Import React Native gesture handler. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Add this import to the top of your app entry file, such as app.js, which is a little surprising. So let me just check that. I'd like to keep my apps in sync as much as possible, plus seeing it happen elsewhere just kind of helps me to have confidence. So what the heck are we doing? What the heck is going on here? Reactive gesture handler. Really? Do I really not? Dependency name resolve. Huh. It doesn't seem like I did do that in the other app, so that's interesting. Maybe some other thing that I'm using like does it automatically. But in any case, it doesn't hurt too much to add this in, and I do remember this from other contexts. So let's just add this into the top of our import, and we can remove that React. So the downside of not having a formal presentation that you run through before you get together is you can run into these things like this. My side project works fine, and yet this is happening. Starting Metro Bundler. Actually, no, let's force quit Expo Go as well, just in case. That doesn't seem likely to contribute. We'll find out. Very interesting. We're going to need to read the Stack Overflow more. Presets. Oh, run your project by removing cache. I do remember that. No, that's not with Expo. See this Expo RC if it like clears out the cache or something. Generally, I don't think you would need to restart the Expo native app just because everything that's communicating over is JavaScript. Nothing is changing in the iOS binary itself. Knowing for sure I want to use React Navigation that I can get this working is a good motivator. I might need to read more closely if this doesn't work this time. I see that this is going slower because I cleared the cache, apparently, is what I did. Hopefully I didn't send all my passwords to someone. And I'm not guaranteed it'll help, but it certainly could. My leg's falling asleep. Let me get adjusted here. Not product placement, but just a little seltzer water here. Incidentally, I don't do any monetization or anything like that. Just doing this for fun, trying to help out the community because the community has helped me out so much. So yeah, watching live, watching later on a recording. Glad you're here. We are building it for mobile and web with Expo. And we are trying our best to get React Navigation working in Expo. I know we can, and we have. Very cool. Okay, so I don't know which of those troubleshooting steps help. That's one of those things that can happen. But check it out. We got our Hello Navigation screen is here. Our Hello title is there because by default the title of the drawer screen we're on comes from the component name. And we go over here, we have a sidebar, a drawer I should say. And once there's multiple things, we can go back and forth between them. We could try that out a little bit later if we want. So now let's move on to our other platforms. Android comes before web. Let's reload it. Is that not the... No, I don't have my shake shortcut. Let me figure out how to shake. Android emulator, how to shake. Command M. That's not working. Need to find a better way to do this. You know what? Let's just, we can force quit out of the app like that. And we can just run it from here again. That's a way to do it. I'm just building an app for Android. I don't know how to do anything on Android. Loading, 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 loading. Someone may have just joined a minute ago. Hello. Do you know that Twitch lets you see a number has increased and someone has joined? We are building for mobile and web with Expo, and I'm glad you're here. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Right now we are getting React navigation working in iOS. iOS has succeeded. We're pulling it up in Android, and hopefully it'll be working just fine in web right after that as well. From there, next thing we're gonna do is add in a component library. We're gonna go with React Native Paper to get material design components. I am not a designer. I cannot design anything. Give me a design and I can implement it. But when I'm building my own projects, please give me a component library that I can just drop stuff in. That's the level that I need to operate at for the amount of design skills that I have. It's taking a little while to build. It does seem like the stream is still coming through okay, so hopefully video and audio aren't chopping up or anything like that. Don't worry, nothing's changing yet on the Android screen other than the bundling number going up a little bit. As I said earlier, once the app is up and running, when we're doing feature development, adding simple stuff, it reloads super quick, and you can get quick feedback that way. So that's really nice. So close. This is still a splash screen. There we go. We've got Hello Navigation. We've got a hamburger menu. We've got a navigation item to click on. Very nice. So let's test our luck on the web. I'm a thumbs up these questions. I'm not logged in. Let me show you my password. Let's do some good for the community while we're waiting for this to build. Whenever I'm waiting for things to build, I always do things that use up my processor even further. All right, ADB82, thank you, nice question. Happy, happy, happy. Clear the Expo cache. Hey, please update my state. There we go. Okay. So we are still bundling our JavaScript. We can see here in the CLI that that's being bundled for the web. Cannot resolve React Native reanimated. That's awfully strange. What's going on here? Is that imported? No, that's imported from React Navigation drawer. Not going to need to do a pod install because this is an Expo app. React Native reanimated. Yeah, it's there. What is going on? This is very interesting. Make sure I got my dependencies right, that I wasn't using a different version. I'm pretty sure I just pulled those in. Let me check, because I remember as you pull in these different guides, drawer navigation, let me see this setup there. React Navigation drawer. Oh yeah, check it out. So once you add React Navigation drawer, that's the instructions where you're supposed to say Expo install React Native gesture handler, Expo install React Native reanimated. So if you're adding React Navigation, look at the instructions for each of the pieces you add, one at a time. One to the top of your entry file. Yeah. Let me just get a clean start. Cannot resolve reanimated. I don't remember if I used the Expo install command correctly. It's interesting. You know, you get through these setup steps and things run from fine from then on. Although if you're updating a dependency, you want to check on things at that time to see if anything's broken. But yeah, you go through these setup steps, and we go through it together. Can't resolve React Native reanimated. I mean, should we do yarn install? Maybe, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything to rerun this. Oh, wait. Expo install. We'll do this way. Just in case something was missed there. Let's go back to my normal yarn start, and not because I think that will fix anything, but it's just what I'm used to doing. Mysteries. Can't resolve React Native reanimated. So let's check out reanimated. See if anything in there comes up. There's that React Native reanimated plugin. Let's check in Expo's docs. Expo start clear after you add the available plugin, all right? Reanimated. Web support. Possible to launch Reanimated 2 in a web browser. Great, web support. Troubleshooting. Yes, please. No. Deleted the no modules installed. Let's try yarn clash clean. React Native project. You know, because going through the React navigation docs seemed to work so well last time, let me read this a little more closely. But in the meantime, I'm going to remove node modules, close, reopen, and then I'll read through this. Yarn add React navigation native. Do a yarn install. React Native screens, React Native safe area context. I wonder if I need to have React Native safe area context used. I could look over because that's in place in Shirley. We'll see. Expo install. Let me compare the versions again while this is running. Screens 3.10.1, safe area context 3.3.2, reanimated 2.3.1, gesture handler 2.1.0. That's all right. Start the project, clearing the cache again. This will not be our experience the whole time using React Native Web. If it is, this will be a very short live stream series. But there's no reason for it because Shirley's working. I don't want to have to copy and paste the existing code base. That's very fragile. Okay, so let's keep going through here. Expo install. Continue to hello React React Navigation, native stack, native stack. Now I haven't actually used the stack navigator yet. Navigation container. What is this in? It's in app. Configuring the navigator. Next section. Drawer navigation. Installation instructions. Sure you have React Navigation native and its dependencies following this guide. Yeah, that's the guide. Already done. Install React Navigation drawer. Yes. React Native gesture handler, React Native reanimated. Yeah. I wonder if I don't actually need that import because that's not in place in Shirley. Man. Well, let's try, because this is referencing the safe area provider, safe area context. So let's try that. Here. I sort my imports automatically. I like it a lot. Why wouldn't it be able to resolve React Native Reanimated? I mean, it is, should be present. React Native Reanimated, right there. So let's read this whole Stack Overflow. Oh, I should have check that plugin again, Babel config. Notice me not reading the whole document. React Native Reanimated plugin. You know, another thing I could try is to try the other type of navigator before I try the drawer, just to see that working. Unmet peer dependencies, Expo install. Could also try from scratch. Let's commit some of this separately. Not require React import. Yeah, you know what, let's back up off of the drawer and let's see if another option can help us, because that can help us narrow it down. Let's just... So now we just have the navigation container. Just put the hello component by itself. It's React Navigation Web Troubleshooting, the live stream. The enthusiasm with which I assumed we'd get through so much today. This isn't so long to go through every time. That is strange it's taking so long. I guess because I cleared the cache or something. guess I could try on. Wait, no, we already got it working on Android. Okay, so it didn't crash. So you can see Hello Navigation up under there. So this is, let me talk as though this is planned. We're getting into troubleshooting techniques. So we get the minimum that does succeed, and then we try to add some of what was breaking back in to sort of narrow down what exactly causes it to break. So first, let's add in the create drawer navigator, just the import. Let's see what that does. Oh wait, no, sorry. We're supposed to be looking at the web. The web is what was breaking. The other trick of troubleshooting is remember what the heck you're doing. You know, it's interesting. It could be a coincidence. It's just a part of adding React Native paper. Maybe that just happened to pull something in that caused this to succeed, whereas it didn't succeed on its own. All right, we have Hello Navigation, so that did not blow up. Let's now import create drawer navigator and see what happens, because we're now this would now help us confirm what specifically causes things to break. So that import causes it to break, and it's, I mean, makes sense. We got React Navigation drawer right there. So yeah, let's just compare this over here. I mean, I'll even drag it over. Here's Shirley. Move it over there. Drawer navigation. Is that version the same? Yeah. What in all React Native packages are there? Create drawer navigator. Did I do that thing? Yeah, I did the safe area provider. That didn't help. So just importing, yeah, React Navigation drawer. Like it's acting as though it doesn't have web support. Can't resolve React Native reanimated. React Native for web can't resolve. React Reanimated is not working in web. Unexpected token, but I don't know. It's not the same problem reported. Exclude key. JSX syntax is probably not related. Make sure I'm in the right project, yeah. Search for reanimated through here. Maybe that JSX runtime thing? It's tough when you're just not sure. GitHub dependabot. Are there Expo configs that like relate to this stuff? Expo shared assets? No. No, that doesn't seem like that helps. Can't result. Yeah, this error doesn't seem right. Downgrade. Webpack configuration. Let's just look for other unable to resolves. You know, let me check. They mentioned versions. Let me check my yarn lock file to see if those are all the identical versions. React Navigation Core 611. Drawer. Was this Encanto? Floors. Let's go. Native stack. Yeah, these are all identical versions. Native. 608, routers 610. Oh, the other thing I should check in here is oh, check it out, check it out, check it out. Shirley is on React Native Reanimated 2.3.1. With my version constraints here, it's installed 2.3.2. So let's try to downgrade to that version. See if it helps. Maybe something is broken, or to the suggestion of something in one of those threads, maybe the version mismatch means it's not findable. You know, this doesn't happen in trivial module dependency cases, but maybe there's something that requires React Native Reanimated exact version, especially because of the way Expo works. It depends on certain things. Let's see. Holding my breath, not literally. Hope you all have some plans this weekend. There we go. That worked, right? I don't think we changed it. Yeah, the import is still in there. All right, well, there you go. I mean, here's a fix for that, as well as an example of something quite tricky. Something as small as a minor version number. And this is a downside of React Native. A challenge of React Native is there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of libraries you're relying on, and there can be mismatches, and even something that's working in one place, when you're installing it in a new place, you may run into a challenge. So not trying to sugarcoat anything there. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, we've made progress. And again, it's just so nice to have the confidence, though, that I've seen this working in the latest versions, more or less, of the library in another app. Now I can get it going here as well. So that's good. Okay, so now what we can proceed with is to put my cheater code back on the other monitor. And the other thing we can proceed with is to add the rest of our drawer stuff in here. The usage of it. And leave that there for a second. All right, look at this. We got a navigation drawer on the web. Check it out. It slides over. And so this is cool. This is a web browser, right? Yet we've got the same code. I'm going to reload these. Hey, Command M worked that time. Very nice. Got the same code from React Navigation, giving us a navigation setup across all of them. We don't need to build something different for the web. We don't need to build it for ourselves from scratch. It's there and present. Looks a little different on iOS, and that's not a problem in general, but also when we replace it with our React paper layer, then that's going to be replaced with different UI elements that are, in that case, they tend to be, React Native paper tends to be more consistent. I'm sure there's probably some OS differences that come out in there. Persistence pays off. This is great. While this is building, I'm going to get started adding in the code here to commit it to the repo. Got my git, if you haven't seen this before, git add patch lets you review diffs one at a time. I love to do this to make sure I'm intentional about exactly what changes are being added, so I don't add things that really would be better separated out. I am fine with, I know having the safe area provider here is going to be helpful, so I don't mind keeping that in, even if that's not strictly needed for right now. React Native Reanimated plugin added in. Yeah, all these dependencies. So you need a lot of dependencies in order to get this cool functionality working on all of these platforms. Yes, just everything in the yarn lock file we can include. Let me add the source file, the navigation file. So as soon as this gets to 100% and then goes up to 100% again, we'll have confidence that we're good to go. Ah, victory. The roller coaster, man. You're here with me through the ups and the downs. Incidentally, note that the behavior is a little bit different. By default on Android, the drawer comes over the background, and on iOS, by default, it pushes it over. What happens on web also slides over. That's intentional, and that's documented in the drawer navigator, and I certainly don't have any problem with that. Although I think I need to tweak it to get something working with responsive design that we'll get to, this stream or another stream. So let's commit this. Add React Nav and drawer. So we got more React navigation to put in, but just, man, especially this complexity, let's add that in. And in fact, let me add a note here. React Native Reanimated. I want to document this. 232 caused an, what was the error? I want to write it down. Error. English of module rack. So I want to document this for myself. Because I actually think I just added a note for myself. I'm going to add, see if I can reduce, well, this is already a pretty minimal project. I'm going to see if I can reproduce this in an even more minimal project. And I'm going to submit a bug to one of these projects to let them know about it. Because I want to make things easier for others in the future so that y'all don't run across this when you're installing your own project. To the degree you can do that and contribute to the React Native world or just the open source ecosystem in general, helps everybody out. Okay, we have the basics of React navigation working. So what do we want to do next? Do we want to do drawer navigators? Stack navigators? I think not yet, because that gets into like the specific contents of the screens, and that might be more, even knowing like what it looks like and what I want it to look like, I think once React Native Paper is in place, it's going to make more sense. Let me look at my instructions to myself here. React Native Paper, yeah. Cool, so let's next add in React Native Paper to get the nice look and feel. And this time, let's follow the instructions. That's not what I want. I want docs. I want getting started. All right, cool. Not positive if it's needed, but let's stop Expo again. Let's add React Native Paper. Again, you really want to make sure you remember to commit your code once you get to a good working standpoint so you don't lose it, so you don't break something again. Okay, we added React Native Paper. If you're on, use Expo, reading instructions this time. You don't need to install vector icons, but if you have a Babel config, make sure that includes Babel preset Expo. Yep, it sure does. To get a smaller bundle size by excluding modules you don't use, I have not worried about that. Usage. Okay, so we add the paper provider. I'm just going to go over and compare with Shirley. Maybe following the instructions, but also comparing to your existing code is maybe a better idea. I see someone has joined. Hello, hello. We're on the stream. We're building for mobile and web with Expo. So we're porting a link saving app to run on Expo, including for web, so we can build for iOS, Android, and for the web. Here's our app so far, just a little bit of a hello. And now we're adding in React Native Paper to get some nice material design look and feel. Provider, paper provider. Yep, I have that. I'll copy it from over here and bring it over. So in our app, let's close our other tabs. We have paper provider. Paper provider I put at the outermost level. Let's hold off on the theme for the moment and we'll come back to that. That is fun once we get into that. That's all I see in there for React Native Paper. So let's go back to check the instructions. Where about size? Oh, gotcha. If you have another, like a Redux, wrap it outside paper provider so it's available to components rendered inside a modal. I did not do that in Shirley. It clearly didn't come up. I guess I haven't done a modal, but we'll see if that bites me. Customization with the theme. So we'll come back to that. Maybe next. That's cool, because to see the React Native Paper has very, very nice support. Well, we gotta get some components in first, but to see it has very, very nice support for dark mode almost fully automatically. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit. Let's make sure the app doesn't crash. We're not using anything yet, but just making sure the app works everywhere. overloading my processor here in a minute. App comes up, app comes up. App. Yeah, when you restart Expo server, you need to re-click run in web browser because it like starts up a Webpack process. Refreshed, buffering, bundling, everything processing, sending out a live stream. So many things going on at once. Getting a lot of refresh on the iOS side. I think it's some artifact to the fact that we're starting this up. Maybe I could have done one at a time. Seems like doing one at a time might have been a good idea. Going back to that point of the feedback loop, say there was an error. I mean, say I hadn't thought to test on the web. I was only testing on iOS and Android and assuming everything was going to work because Josh Justice told you everything was going to work. Wouldn't have gotten that quick feedback, and we would have added lots and lots more changes to our code and not known what exactly was broken it. Cool. So the app is starting up, but I don't trust it. Sorry, folks. I want to see at least one paper component showing up before we commit this. And I think I just want to drop a nice little button down into the screen just to see it. Why not? This is fun. Before we do, you know, it's taking small steps to work these things out. Let's do, well, the import should probably be up here. Button. Before we do a lot of complex paper setup, let's do the simple setup. Mode contained, just because that looks nice. We got a button. It's rounded, it's purple, it's all uppercased. Kind of wigs me out a little bit. That's showing up. It's showing up on the web too. Check it out. We got material design on the web. Not so impressive just with the button, but once we add, now we're going to theme our header bar and we're going to theme our drawer to fit with React Native paper, and that's going to look cool. But let's commit this on its own. We've added paper. That was a heck of a lot easier than React Navigation, wasn't it? But that's because React Navigation is doing so much heavy lifting. All right, React Navigation paper. So now we need to think through, I mean, we're really focusing on the skeleton of the app, the outer interface of it. So that's really what I want to put in place now. And that, there's actually good instructions. So let me point you that just so you see, so we get the credit. Under React Navigation, under React Native paper, they have integrate with React Navigation. Nope, go back up. Theming with React Navigation. So that's something they were kind of drawing attention to. I'm confused about what these two different pages mean. They may have improved it since before. But in any case, what we're doing is following the example of Shirley, pre-existing code to get all of our styling working. So let's find out what I did. I'm looking over here at the cheater screen. Drawer. Stacks. Navigation. Wait. Screen options header shown false. Okay, so the navigator header shown false. Let me copy that over. And this you'd probably be, experimenting with or following those documentations over time. But we're saying that the navigator's own header is not shown. So that don't look great. It's going to look better once we get the other headers in place and stuff like that. Let's take that back out because it's going to look weird until we replace the header with something else. I want to get the drawer styled first. So there's a prop that says drawer content. You can create a custom navigation drawer. Okay, yeah. So we're going to create a custom navigation drawer. Let me get my node modules out of my face. I'm going to create a folder this time. Components. New file. New file is kind of weird in Sublime, but let's save it. Custom navigation drawer.js. This may bite me because I named the file something different in the other project without really thinking well about it. But that's the name of the component that I want. That should be the name of the file. So let's import custom navigation drawer into here. So this is basically saying instead of showing the default content in the navigation drawer, show this custom content. I just need to have it there. All right, there's a lot going on there. Let's just copy it all over and look through a little bit at a time. We'll come back to the imports. Token is not needed because that's coming later. Download on the App Store button is specific stuff. But we're getting a drawer content scroll view for a React Navigation drawer to customize with. Platform might not be needed yet. Style sheet view, drawer, and with theme. Let's get back off of that. Icon for route, we'll come back to that pattern later. Is web, we might not need. Okay, islog use token is a hook that I use in the other app, and I'm sure I'm going to copy that over, but the time is not now for determining if you're logged in. Is selected, that's some icon stuff. Scroll view style. Maybe you're regretting this. No, so we don't want to sign out. Okay, so when you're making a custom navigation drawer, let's see here. We have a drawer content scroll view. We don't need to give it a style yet, apparently. We give it the nav props that we receive. And now we go in here. And so this is the difference. So React Native Paper gives you drawer items. And so instead of using React Navigation's default drawer items, we're creating our own using React Native Paper. So that's what's going to make it look more paper standard over there. Test IDs we can come back to when we get to testing. And actually with our testing approach now, that may not be needed. Key label, accessibility label. So these are all different things that come in here, and we'll just keep them as is. Icon, let's take off for now, and we might add those in later. Let's say take active off for now. And on press navigates to that route name. That makes sense. Okay, see here I had a sign out button when you're logged in, so we can add that back in later. And then I had a button that showed up only if you're on the web, which does not apply. So you see adding like navigation items that don't directly relate to navigation routes in your drawer. I should say buttons in your drawer that don't relate to navigation routes. That can end up being helpful. With theme, we'll get back to shortly, hopefully when we get into dark mode, light mode. And I see here that a styles were only related to that App Store button. Might add that back in for sure. But so yeah, let's delete this stuff out. In fact, is style sheet used? Why isn't the linter telling me that style sheet's not used? Okay, yeah, so once I thought through it and figured out what I was removing out, really the customizing we're doing to the navigation drawer is to get these paper drawer items in here. And you've gotten a little bit of a preview of the things we'll need to do in the future further, but this should get the basics of our drawer item in there. And so sometimes when you make a change like this, it's good to say, what do I expect to happen? I expect something will probably break because I've done it wrong. But once I get it right, what I expect to happen is our sidebar navigation items are going to look like React Native Paper. And we'll be able to check React Native Paper's doc to see what we're expecting. So let's save this. None of these components exist, so that relates to... Oh, look, did I paste it in wrong? I did. I still pasted it in wrong. Custom navigation drawer is the name of the component. We pull out the drawer, and it looks kind of different. I mean, it looks simpler, and that's partially because then it's not showing it selected. So like just to see as active. So just to see what it looks like when it's active, let's just hard code active in there as true. Yeah, so see, it's got the same purple theme as the other stuff. Now, it would be nice to get, well, let's commit this as is. We'll say, and let me delete out that. Adding screen options header shown true doesn't help for right now. We'll get back to that soon. So review, adding the custom navigation drawer. Customize nav drawer with paper buttons. Oh, let's check it on all the platforms to make sure we're good. We're good. Okay, now what I'd like to do next is I want to get that functionality working where if you have multiple navigation items, only the correct one is highlighted. So we're going to need another screen. And again, to stay focused just on the skin here, I'm leaving out any application specifics. And it makes me realize I might even, if I stay out of all the application specifics for now, I might be able to create a shared library that I use for my own apps to extract some of this out. Because I already know a third personal app I'm planning on taking in this approach. And it would be nice if some of this stuff, if it is really reusable, if this is a good abstraction, it would be nice for me to have it in my own library to use across my 2 or 3 apps. And maybe it's helpful for y'all, or maybe it's just a good example for y'all. So let's really stay away from anything that's Firehose application specific for now. So let's just call this other one another screen. I mean, probably all that's not needed. Maybe the auto formatter would have even done it for us. So we'll add another screen. Hello, another. So if we just add this screen, it's there. Except we can't actually get to it because I did have that code in there. On press, navigation, navigate to route name. But only one or the other is highlighted. And so let's just see. I'm checking my cheater code here. I think a lot of this was example code that I saw in React Navigation docs. So checking if it is selected. Checking against the state, which is the navigation state. And then, oh, that's a, sorry, we have the index here. So we're saying active is, and you know, I said selected there. I think is active is going to be clearer. So I think this will probably work. So now we see just the one selected. And if we click on the other, oh, that was a weird thing. Goes back and forth. That's nice. Emulator is running a little slower just because it's emulating. It's popping in and out we're going to need to look at. I've seen it on Shirley as well. It seemed like it was temporary or finicky. Yeah, check it out. I mean, we got this nice material design look on the sidebar. Even, I don't know if you can see that animation on the screen, but even the, whatever you call that animation when you tap on something, the ripples for material design works. That's pretty nice. Pops out from the middle. It's cool. It's nice. Worth the effort. That was easy. React Native Paper was easy. So let's commit that. Get nav drawer active state working. So now that our navigation drawer looks like React Navigation Paper, and now that we have 2 screens, what we can do is get the header here to look like React Navigation Paper as well. And so you'll remember that I saw over here, I don't remember, I got to look it up, so give me a second please. I had that screen option with header shown false. It's nice to do this one step at a time so I don't feel like I'm breaking everything before I come back and get it working again. So with header shown false, there's no header. I can't even open up the drawer at all. It just looks all weird and everything's cropped off. That's on another screen. But what we're going to do is have React Native Paper provide a header. And you could add that header to the individual screens, but because I know, this is actually interesting, the same experience happens in native iOS development as well. When you know, like, okay, it's going to be a stack, I'm going to push things on it, I'm going to need to want to go back, the Stack Navigator provides that for you. And so we don't need to custom add the header, I don't think. We need to tweak something else, I'm pretty sure. But really our next step we want to do is to add a Stack Navigator for these screens, even just as an example that we build on in the real application code. So let's take a look at how to do that. And by take a look, of course, I mean look at my cheater monitor here. Oh yeah, we're going to come back to that too. So for hello, we're going to create a hello stack. It's a native Stack Navigator, which is interesting because the native Stack Navigator also works on the web. Naming things is hard. So we've got a hello stack, and then what happens with that hello stack? I think what I do, let me just type this out. Say const hello equals, I just went with a const here because I knew that it's getting returned directly. Hello stack.navigator, and this is all in the documentation for the Stack Navigator, but I did, setting up basic React navigation stuff, I tended to put in notes because I do it so similar every time. So let's Stack Navigator. I'm going to avoid that option because we'll show it a bit later. And let me avoid that option as well, and we'll just see what happens by default, because it's nice to see. One nice thing about building out the code one little bit at a time is you know the value that each piece is providing. You're not just adding in a whole huge chunk and then it works good enough. You don't know what the pieces are. So let me say hello stack.screen. And that's going to be name equals hello detail. That's a weird name. We'll get rid of that once we have real screens in here. Component equals hello detail. Options equals, let's come back to the options as well. And so this screen is now hello detail. So now, let me save to get that formatted. So now what's happened is we've added a little wrapping around this existing hello content here. So hello now refers to this component that has a stack navigator and one screen inside of it. We'll have multiple screens inside here. Once we have multiple screens we can navigate to within the stack. But down here, when we're saying we have hello, that, if I had more of an IDE like that, whoa, does that tell me where the definition is? I did not assume that Sublime was going to offer that. That's pretty cool. Pretty nice text editor, isn't it? Take that, mega corporations. All right, cool. Well, that's a little bonus. This has made my day, as well as actually getting React navigation working. So, from the drawer screen, underneath, when you choose hello from the drawer, now what we show is this component that has a stack navigator with one screen inside it. And I believe the stack navigator is going to add the title, the header bar. But if it doesn't, then I have options for what else to do. Yeah, so it's there. Hello detail is there. You'll see that we don't have a UI, we don't have the little hamburger menu there or anything. I think we can drag from the side of the screen. Yeah, we can, to get over there. That's not, I mean, it's nice to have that as an option, but it'd be nice to have a UI element as well. Let's get this, well, you can see that another is not yet working. It's all still wiggy. Let's get this fully working. Because this is still not styled like React Native paper. This looks like defaults. This doesn't look like material design. So let's see what to do there. What to do there is copied and pasted from my cheater monitor. Screen options. For header, we want a custom navigation bar. So in addition to our custom drawer to add React Native paper, we're adding a custom navigation bar across the top as well that also is going to add React Native paper. So I'm pretty sure I imported that from another component. Again, in the other project, I named it poorly, so let's name the file what it should actually be named. And this is just saying, hey, like React Navigation is going to put a header bar over the top. It'll give you one out of the box just to get something running, or if you have really basic app needs, but you can customize it and you kind of hook into their API. They handle the bar showing and layout, you just handle the contents of it. So that's very nice. Custom navigation bar. I'll bet you this one will be simpler, although I'm usually surprised by those things. So this looks not too bad, so let's do this. Export. Let's actually type it out this time. And remember, I am not remembering all these things. Don't get imposter syndrome. I'm copying and pasting for another screen. We are here. We're building for mobile and web with Expo. We are right now in our Expo app. We have gotten it running on, well, it's broken right now because I typed broken code, but our app is running on iPhone, Android, and the web. We've added in React Navigation, which is really sweet. Right now we're adding in React Native Paper to get a nice look and feel all around there. And that's probably going to be the end point of our 2 hours for today until we go further. Custom navigation bar. And we'll add in those props a little later as we need them. So return app bar header. And what is app bar header? That comes from React Navigation Paper. So this is really the core of what we're doing is we want that app bar to be a paper one. This is the API that it provides. Let me go ahead and save. It's going to auto format that away, isn't it? Let's see, auto format is not always the best thing in the world. So let's do this, and then in here what we're going to do is add in, there's the back button. Oh yeah, so app bar content. So we need to display the title. Options is the options sent into here. That's a back button, that's a drawer. Yeah, so we're going to want to have multiple screens in here so we can prove it that we want the back button. So let's get this working first. Let's get this showing first. We'll add it in, and then we'll add in other stuff. What did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't close that tag. We're good. We have a purple header there. It doesn't have a title in it. That don't look right. Options title. Let's console log the options. Options header. Is that new? That's interesting. That's not the format the data is in my existing version of Surely, my other app written this way. But I don't know what's going on with that. Well, let's log out options.header. Header, function header. No, so that looks like there's a title. I'm not successfully correctly passing in a title. So that might be something that I'm doing differently. Maybe because I was defaulting the title to the component name. That's what it is. Maybe. Let's check it against Surely. Yeah, I was passing a title there. I found that pattern was helpful. So let's do that. Next screen, title. And let's just make the title not identical to everything else for now with exclamation points so that we can see and be sure about, so I don't get confused again, that the title is coming from there. Now we've got the title, hello. We've got paper header, paper buttons in it. You can click back and forth to another screen, totally broken. It's okay, we'll get there. Header is there, with slightly, and this is something documented in React Native paper as well, that by default it's centered on iOS and left aligned on Android to fit with platform conventions. And it shows up on the web as well. And I think there's not a dragging option on the web to get over there, so we definitely need to get that working. But this is great, so let's add it. Custom nav header. So the next thing I did, I made a decision in Surely was to add the hamburger menu icon over on the right hand side. And the reason why was because I wanted the left arrow on the left hand side, but even when I was drilled down into details, I wanted to be able to pull up the sidebar. I might rethink that as a part of this project, we'll see. But for now I want to follow that just because it would be better to get this thing in and working than tweak and adjust it from there when I've got an example to follow. So, show drawer toggle. Yeah, so let's avoid that toggle because responsive design we might not get to this today. Actually, let me remove that console log. I do want this to be a named function with a return statement there because I know we're going to need more stuff in there. So we want app bar action on the right hand side, also provided by paper, to have a button. Don't need test ID until if and when we need it for testing. Accessibility label. So I made a mention earlier, I have some wrist pain. And so I use an iOS feature called voice control to use voice commands to tap on stuff. And so I need accessibility attributes like label to be able to give voice commands to make things work. It would be great if I and all of us develop for accessibility on all of our apps. And it's nice that React Native and React Native Paper provide good options. So that's why I prioritize accessibility. I'm self-conscious about the fact that it's a personal use case. I've learned and picked up accessibility at work, and so I hope that I would prioritize it going forward. I don't know for sure if I would have for a side project if it was just used for screen readers, but so I'm very glad that I have a use case for it so that I can set up accessibility to help others. So accessibility label menu, icon menu, and on press navigation.toggle drawer. So that's something that the drawer navigator makes available, and navigation is a prop that's passed in. So let's save this. One nice thing coming out of these small steps also is that the log, and I am going to push this up into an open source repo, is going to show a lot of nice small commits. So now we've got the menu here. You can click on it, shows the menu. It actually kind of scrolls that out of view, which is kind of a nice thing. Show the menu. I don't know if that's material design convention or platform convention. I don't care that much. I'm not a stickler for this. I just want a nice UI library. Click on it and it shows up. So now we've got the drawer looking materially, except for the another screen, which I always forget. Okay. So let's add this. Add drawer toggle button. What's next? There's that back button. Oh, what we can do now is, because let's apply that same pattern to the another screen. Because now custom navigation bar is in one place, future enhancements we make will be able to apply to both of them. So let's kind of copy this pattern here. Hello stack, hello detail. Say another stack. Another detail. Another exclamation points. Another, this should say another. Make sure there's no references to hello there. Oh, that's hangover from before. I'll put that in a separate commit, I think. Now we've got another, and I think this will add in the custom navigation bar and the stack to prepare to navigate into multiple things underneath there. Let's try it and see. Another, that weird animation thing still happening. I'll need to look into that. I might do it offline if it persists. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely need to fix that. Another hello, nice. Wrap another screen in stack. All right, looking over here, there's some responsive design stuff we don't need right now. Back button, that would probably be a good idea. Let's do the back button, because we need, I mean, I would like to get the custom navigation bar as done as we can. So now we want to get these stacks actually used as stacks. I don't have a name for the first thing because it's not actually a home thing with a detail. What the heck am I going to call that? I'll just call it hello screen. Oh, did I commit that? Oh, and oh yeah, let me remove that other thing that I needed to come to the thing. Remove comment. All right, so let's just call this Sublime Text. Well, I don't want to give it too much credit. It might have been another editor. Hello screen 1. And let's call this another screen 1. And so then we're going to have hello screen 2. I'm going to put into it hello screen 2. Nothing in it. But in this button, well, let me add it up in here. So hello screen 2 is another screen. We want it in the stack. I'm going to put it in the titles here. So this is going to be hello screen 2. Screen 2. Again, this is all very silly, but it's nice to keep this agnostic of our app. If you're in your real app, you put your real contents in there. That's totally fine. Hello screen 1. Yeah, I'll come back to another screen in a little bit. Actually, we don't even need to. We don't even need to worry about the another screen because once we're just coding the custom navigation bar to be able to drill in and come back out. So hello screen 2. What we want is this button to allow us to navigate down to that screen. And now I've got to drill into my code a bit more. Actually, you know what? I think there's props are passed to individual screens, but I found, because you might be a number of levels deep, and so using the hook to get access to the navigation is a preference of mine now. And let's save the linking for later as well. I'm going to add this in my notes. Remaining linking dark mode responsive. Yeah, we might get to that later. Yeah, let's check it. It'll be easiest if we go to the React navigation hooks. Dropped use linking hook. What are you talking about? Let's check into the APIs. That animation is wigging me out. Use navigation. That's what I want. All right. Use navigation. This is all going to go away once these placeholder components go away. Const navigation equals use navigation. That can happen anywhere in your app. And then we say, I forget what to do with a button. So I'm going to need to check back and forth on here. That's specifically the API for onPress. Yeah, that makes sense. Equals navigation, navigate, hello screen 2. So hello screen 1, we can press a button to navigate to hello screen 2. So let's see what is lacking to help us get back. I have syntax is lacking. That's one thing that's lacking. Oh yeah, I'm missing a curly here. All right, that looks better. Okay, so we're on, under hello, we're on hello screen 2. Oh yeah, I gotta change that label too, like go to screen 2. We're on hello screen 1, we wanna go to screen 2. When we tap on it, it pushes it onto the stack. By default, navigation.navigate in a stack navigator pushes it on, but now we can't get back. We can switch over to another. When we switch back to hello, we're actually still stuck on screen 2. It preserves the state of that stack, the fact that you navigated down, but we can't get back. And I can add a button there to get back, but I want in the navigation bar, by default, all these places, I want a back icon that shows up there. So let's put that in. I'm gonna copy and paste that for over here. And I don't feel the need to do a separate commit for those sample code. We'll just do it this way. Again, test ID we'll get to if we test it. And I might even take the opportunity to use some of those more accessibility focused testing. On press as navigation.go back, accessibility label back. Cool, so we have our back button. Tap it, go there. Go to screen 1, go to screen 2. You'll see a problem. The back button also shows on screen 1. We get an error. So that's not good. That's not what we want. But it shows up on here. Go to screen 2, go back. Notice the arrow is slightly different on Android. That's interesting. App bar.back action. So that's handling that for me. I didn't choose the icon. So apparently that's more default for Android, and it's handling that for me. So I want the presence of this back action to be conditional. And what I found, I think I actually might have found a bug on this and submitted this to the documentation. Oh no, I updated the docs for React Native Paper to go from version 5 to version 6. I added a conditional, but in React Navigation 6, back is the name of the prop. I think it might have object, like an object with data as well. But what we need is that's just a conditional to let us know if that's present, it's a situation where you can go back, and if it's not present, it's not. And we'll say no. Don't love too many ternaries in my code, but in this case, this component is simple enough that I think it's fine. Can I even do the and thing? I think not. I think and doesn't work in this case, but because back isn't. Well, I don't know. Let's try it. And is simpler, so let's do that. If that works, that'll be simpler. And maybe I just wrote it too complex in the other app. So hello screen 1 does not have the back arrow. Screen 2 does have the back arrow. And so now check it out. We're able to go to screen 2. We see that we can go back and go back. And if we go to screen 2, go to another, go back to hello, we're on screen 2, restored there, but we can go back. So let's check it on all of our platforms to make sure it's okay. It's okay. Let's check it on the web. It's okay. Notice there's no animation when you're going on a stack by default on the web, but that's okay. It's just different. Go there, go back. I don't know if y'all are feeling it. I'm hyping it up a little bit, but like we're getting a lot for free. It's a little work to get these things together, but like it's going to pay off over time versus having to build all this stuff for ourselves from scratch. Go to another, go back. The state of screen 2 is restored. Very nice. So we say add nav bar back button. So that's very nice. 15 minutes. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. I think we can do dark. Let's do theming first. Let's change the theme color and then we'll see how far we get. So React native paper supports theming. And let's do the theme in the basic way before we do a more complex way that I need to do, in case it's helpful for you to see it, to see the most basic situation. So React Native Paper, if we look up theming, we can go in here and adjust the color. So you can provide a theme prop with the same properties. So let's add a theme to our project. And I think it's going to be a little bit magical. I think it's a little nice. So let's copy and paste this. Theme is default theme. I don't care about roundness. I don't care about accent colors as well. I can choose one color. Like, that is the extent of my ability to to think about anything. So in the UI, when I first created this, I was integrating Firehose with an app of mine, my codingitwrong.com website that was just gray. Since then, it's become bright safety green. So I think I want to theme Firehose with red, because that's the icon and that fits with the theme of Firehose. We'll see if I regret it later, but at least to demonstrate it. Let's start with absolute bright red, which we'll probably back off on, but just to prove that the theme is working. Again, do one thing at a time and not overthink it. So we can pass the theme in to the paper provider. And we're using just object spread to say, hey, the theme is the default theme, the colors is the default colors, but we changed the primary color. And it's bright red. The header is bright red, the button's bright red. I think it might have even changed the text color by default. Let's see, it's white there. Nah, that was the same. I think it might magically do that. This is just not an example of it. We got red. On the sidebar, look, we got light red. I guess it's called pink. But all the colors have been updated to the theme. And that's one of the things I love about React Native Paper. I just get a bit of a unique feel. Yes, it looks like a React Native Paper app. If you want your app to have a more custom approach, that's fine. For my side project apps, this is good enough. But now, instead of that color, I think I want to look at the material design guidelines to get one of their recommended red colors, just to get a little bit of a unique feel. Getting started. Default theme to see what customization. Ooh, primary tomato, that's fun. Let's see how tomato shows up. Nope, I don't want orange. I want it red. So what's in the default theme? From colors. Where can I get a list of colors? I feel like it was linked from here, but maybe I'm thinking of the icons. Home. Maybe I just look into material design zone docs here, which again, it's very easy to get confused, but material UI is a web library. Material design is the name for the design system. The color system. Just give me a red. That's all I want. Too much theory. These incidentally are using reds, but I'm going to get the list of all the colors so I can see. Man, so much, yeah, there we go. So much sophistication, and I'm coming in with React Native Paper and choosing one color, which is just so ridiculous. And yet, it's the power of these high-level abstractions. This might be a nice deep red. So let's check it out and see. Oh, it wants a pound sign. That's a nice deep red. Interesting. I like it. Do I want something brighter or lighter? Let's try it real quick. Let's not try it real quick because I want to get to dark mode because that's a really nice place to end. So now we're themed. We've got our own unique color going on. But there's one problem, is that all our cool phones and our computers have dark mode now, and normal developers who aren't me have their OS running in dark mode as well. So we want to get that working. So that you need to get some React Native hooks working for re-rendering, because you want your app to automatically update if the user changes dark mode when you're in the app, because that's cool and awesome. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, it's freaking sweet. Like, it felt so sweet when I got it working. So let me, instead of walking through it too much, let me just follow the example pattern. Did I commit that? I did. Let me follow the example pattern that I used. I'm going to comment this out so I can get back to it. You'll see as we go why use theme needs to be a hook to get dark mode support, and React Native Paper's docs point you towards this. Firehose red. I gave it a little named color, so that's nice. Don't need default theme in here anymore. We'll have to figure out what to do with theme in there later. So use theme. We call use color scheme from React Native. That's going to tell us whether we're in dark mode or not. And depending on that, we're either going to choose the dark theme that React Native Paper provides or the default theme. One thing I should say, if you don't customize the theme of React Native Paper at all, you do get dark mode with responsive, automatic updates out of the box. But given that you're going to want to give it a different color, almost certainly, unless it's just a very small internal app or the color doesn't matter, you're going to want to do it. And so if you want to give it an extra color, you got to have a hook here to do this responsiveness. And in the theme now we say, hey, yep, it's the base theme with the base theme colors, and we make primary Firehose red. We return the theme. And then let's see what we do with that over here. I could turn this into a course at some point. I just need to figure out what I'm doing and then write it down. So in the app, we call use theme to get the theme, and then we pass it in there. And what that's going to do is, in React Native, use color scheme will re-render your app. I don't know, that gets triggered. I don't know the right. Basically, there's a use state in there somewhere that triggers re-rendering, but it will automatically update and re-render things when the color scheme changes, when the user changes the color scheme. That passes down to here, this passes the theme to here, and it's passed into there. And the paper provider knows to be able to re-render your app in turn as a result of this. So if we save this, I think we're going to get responsiveness to the color scheme. So can I, this is a little, it's easier to do on a real phone because you can put the color mode in there. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you the live updating. The app will actually fade in the background if you've got your control center to change the color scheme. But let's just pop out of the app and do it for here. And you'll be able to see it in macOS as well. I think, and it's weird in the simulator, it's under developer. I don't know why they put it in a different place, but we say dark appearance, great, cool. The OS looks really great. What about our app? What? It didn't work. Let me reload to see. Maybe I've done something wrong. It's not working. What's going on? What have I done? I copied and pasted it. What can be happening? Paper provider theme. If I can't get this working, I'll certainly look into it on the side. Let's see if the web works. So we're on the web. Let's go to our Mac and change to dark. I just changed that. It changed the header. I do remember that other things throughout the app you need to code for that. So getting this background to code for it makes sense. So this is a good sign that we're moving in the right direction to get the header automatically changed. Did that change here though? Don't think it did. I don't know how to change color mode on Android, so we're not doing that. Let me put this over on this screen. We'll get this if we can, and then we'll be done. And the OS is clearly in dark mode. It's dark appearance. Dark appearance. Right. And that automatically updates. So that's nice. We just want that to happen on mobile as well. So let me see. Maybe there's something that needs to happen in custom navigation bar. I think there is actually. I'm not actually sure why it's re-rendering on web. That may be an incidental thing, something else that's causing it to trigger. Somewhere in here there's theme, navigation drawer. Yeah, you know what, that might be it. So the navigation drawer, we can go ahead and get theme in. I do see we have a theme. Oh yeah, let's do this. Okay, so scroll view style is something that needs to change. We come in from the theme colors background. That's going to be passed in the drawer scroll view style. Even just this re-rendering might be what triggers the re-rendering in the other case. So let's see. Although, yeah, I reloaded the app and that didn't make it work. So that Seems like that's probably not the explanation in this case, but maybe we'll see. Maybe the sidebar. Theme.colors is not present. Theme is not passed in. Custom navigation drawer. What you doing? All right. Interesting. This may be incidental things that change or just little coincidences that cause things to differ. But in either case, I don't think that's the explanation for what's happening here. Yeah, app bar content. Interesting. So there's something specific that's not laying out. Paper provider theme. Very interesting. We've run across another mystery. I know this is possible because I know it works in Shirley. Interesting. We're close to time. So let me search all through here. Let's bring Shirley back over here so y'all have something to look at. Kind of resizes the window automatically. That's cool. Let's look for theme throughout the app. It's in app. Oh, you know what? It could be... This could be something in the Expo config. So app.json is Expo configuration. Where's tell the true? Theme color. We're going to need to get that theme color in at some point. Yeah, that doesn't seem like what's going on. Use theme, return theme, custom navigation drawer, theme, screen background theme, to-do list theme. Interesting. You know what, so let's console log theme here. In a worst case scenario, we could check the docs if absolutely necessary. So the theme's not defined. So let's do it here. Maybe I'm passing the theme down wrong. Let me say, logging out an object literal like this is a nice shortcut to get a key and a value without having to type them both. Theme, colors, primary. That looks like a theme to me. Paper provider. Don't copyright strike me. Oh, I should see if it's logging out dark mode. Theme dark false. Theme dark false. Oh, did I leave that out of the theme from here? That could be it. See, this is the problem with from copying and pasting stuff and leaving out simple things. Color scheme, no, but. So let's check and see, use color scheme to see what that's giving us. And let's just not. Color scheme light. That's not right. Okay, so there's some kind of Expo setting. So let's check that out quick and then we'll be done for today. And we got to go at 6 Eastern. Feel free, obviously. Light and dark modes. Require additional configuration to support switching between light and dark mode. Expo user interface style automatic. So I just skimmed over that. That is app.json. Yeah, y'all probably saw that. User interface. So yeah, I was expecting there to be a different value, but there's not a different value. So I'm going to just pop this in any old place, and then we'll organize this file more later. Sweet, and now the header is showing off. And like I said, I think specific sidebars, specific bodies, we need to code to connect to the dark mode. But let's just make sure we can switch back and forth. And you know, I think it'll fix the other issue as well. So now we switch back here, it changed. And you might have even been able to see on the stream that it animated the change. So let's commit this as is. Maybe remove some log statements. Read the docs. Gotta read the docs. It's a catch-22 though, because it's like, do I wade through these big extensive docs when I've already got examples to handle it? So let's say support dark mode with automatic re-rendering. So let's try to change the drawer one more time, and let's see if that works. Drawers. Tempting fate here. Scroll view style. We could inspect it, but probably that'll work just fine. Not getting the theme. There's no theme. What's going on? All right, so might run a little long. 5 minutes will be okay. Why would the custom navigation drawer not getting the theme? Why is it getting it over here? And that's what we can find out. Maybe I manually pass it in. Let's see, navigation, checking out Shirley. Props. This passes the props along. Navigation contents. Navigation. What would cause that theme? Oh, I know what it is. Check it out. That ain't default exported. We got some old school, what the heck is it called? Higher order components going on in here. That's what's going on. If I would have put that in at first, I wouldn't stumbled across it, but then you wouldn't have gotten to see this, so that if you're running into this in your own code, you find it. So we don't want to return custom navigation drawer by itself. We want to return this with theme. I was like, why wouldn't it be getting the theme? Wait, why is it getting the theme in the first place? With theme is a React Native paper hook that will pass the theme in as a prop to another component if you need that information. And so previously theme was undefined. Check this out. When I save it, the theme comes in. It's present. And now we can do the scroll view style. And now that can get passed into default content scroll view. Got our light mode. Let's go to dark appearance. I believe it. Do you believe it? We got our dark mode. Oh yeah. That red's probably a little dark. That's probably not accessible contrast, so I might need to look into that. Let me make a note. Our text contrast. Maybe that'll change our color. But notice, so our custom header, our custom sidebar, it's getting the theme. Again, still don't know how to change it on Android, so hold off on that for now. But on here, we got our light sidebar. Here we're going to go to dark mode. And without reloading, we have our dark sidebar. So this is cool. This is great. I use dark mode at night, dark time. So when I configured React Native Paper to get dark mode working, I felt real cool. Not that I did much, but I was using cool tools. Am I still logging this out? Stop logging. All right, so let's add this as another commit. Support dark mode with drawer. All right, we're just about 5 minutes over, so I'm going to cut it off there. So what have we accomplished so far today in today's stream? We've set up the skin for our app. Let me so your brain isn't jarred too much by it. Let me go back to the light mode here and on here so you can see it all consistent. We've set up our app, and our app is actively running on iOS, Android, and web. We have set up React Navigation, and we have set up React Native Paper so that we have sidebar navigation that pops out. We've got this nice React Native Paper going on. We got a bug. I got to look into that bug. Let me put that in my notes as well. Bug with sidebar popping out. I'm not confident I can make good progress on that on the stream, so I'll look into that separately. We've got drilling down and going back. This would have been quite hard to build by myself, and then I would have had to maintain it and keep it working. And I don't want to maintain that. I want that to just work. And it does, with a little configuration on front. So we've got dark mode. In case it wasn't clear before, the reason that when we go to dark mode, that the background is not dark is because you have to code your components to support that. I think actually the button automatically supports it, but it's a contained button stays in that mode when you switch it into dark mode. But like, this is just a view. It's just white, the default background color. And so you need to code it to support that. And so I've got patterns in the existing app to make that easier. And in fact, when we get list views showing in here, that might work better. So I probably won't even put that in as a part of the initial template so much as individual screens. So that's why that's happening. But we've got great support for our navigation and our look and feel and our dark mode, which I'm feeling really great about. It's very exciting. So let's look at what I promised today so we can see what we're going to do next time. So one of the things, a responsive sidebar. So our sidebar, even though on the web, even though our monitor is really wide, the sidebar pops in and out. I'm never going to use this much screen width. You can see that already here in Fireside. I kind of put in the sidebars there. So I want this sidebar to stay in persistently on the left-hand side. And so we need to get some responsive design going on to make that happen. I just noticed it's gotten dark outside and my face has gotten darker because the sun is setting over here. So that's the first thing we're going to do next time, is to get that working responsively. And then we're going to deploy the app. We're going to get the web app going on Netlify and the iOS app going on TestFlight. Might even do a Google Play Store thing. I'm not sure. We've got our Google app working, so why not keep it going? We'll see. So that's what we're going to start out with next time. And from there, we're going to start getting into our features of building out individual screens to get links going and showing up and everything like that. But I should call it there because it's the end of our time. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching this recording later. I have been coding it wrong. And we'll continue to do so. Next week, we're going to be back a week from today, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, as we continue to build out this app for web, iOS, and Android. It's very exciting. Thanks so much for everybody who joined in. We'll catch you online. And I should say, if you want to stay in touch with me, hit me up on codingitwrong.com. It'll direct you to Twitch, where you can follow me there. My YouTube channel, where you can see these recordings as they go up as soon as I've edited them. My blog is on there. I'm not on big time social networks, but you can connect with me on Mastodon. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I am on there. Would love for y'all to follow me there. Ask me a question anytime. Would love to hear from you, especially if you're digging into setting up Expo with web. Would love to chat about it and challenges or problems. Tell me the errors you're getting from your libraries, and I will try to help you. I'm going to push up this code. Can I do that fast? Let's do that. Hub create Firehose Expo. Let me go back to desktop and video. Am I authenticated to create the app? Let's push it up. We're done. It's there. Coding it wrong, Firehose Expo. Doesn't have a README. I'll put that down. We'll do the README next time as well, so something there. But you can check it out, pull down the code, run it locally to give this a try. All right, that's me. Thanks so much. I'm going to go have dinner, spend time with my family. Catch you next week. Catch you online. See ya.